A few years ago, when the changeable lens mirrorless camera trend was just starting, Nikon introduced a family of cameras called the Nikon 1 series. The Nikon 1 V3 is the latest at the top of the Nikon 1 lineup, and in at least one important way, it outperforms every single DSLR on the market. Hi, I'm Larry Becker. Last year, in a financial report, Nikon said that they were going to reconsider product planning of the Nikon 1. Industry experts were guessing what that meant, but it sure seems like the high end of the Nikon 1 product line is getting a serious feature set improvement. And the Nikon 1 V3 has some impressive specs and a kit with some surprising extras as well, not to mention the reworking of their important 10 to 30 millimeter lens. The camera has an 18.4 megapixel CX format CMOS sensor and Nikon's new X-Speed 4A image processor. So while it's still a CX size sensor and it still uses Nikon's Nikon 1 lens mount, the resolution is the highest to date in a Nikon 1 camera, and the burst capture rate is the fastest at that new 18.4 megapixel resolution, absolutely crushing all the DSLRs on the market. The Nikon 1 V3 can capture 20 frames a second at full resolution with full-time autofocus. Now, while we're talking about autofocus, let me point out that the AF is incredibly fast too. The AF points are spread across almost the entire image area, and there are 171 contrast detection autofocus points and 105 phase detection points. Phase detection autofocus is known for being faster, and it definitely is. Another thing that's really fast is the high-speed video capabilities of the Nikon 1 V3. It can capture video at 120, 400, or even 1200 frames a second. Of course, the higher the frame rate, the lower the resolution, but the 120 frames per second capture is 720p resolution. That's impressive. Speed has always been a hallmark of the Nikon 1 V series cameras, and so has the fact that the ergonomics are intended to appeal to DSLR users. However, the Nikon 1 V3 has been cleverly designed to appeal to users migrating from point-and-shoot cameras and DSLR fans. While previous Nikon 1 V series cameras had a more DSLR-like grip shape and a built-in EVF, the V3 doesn't have either of those. It looks like a Nikon 1 J series camera body, so it appeals to point-and-shoot users. But the kit actually includes the EVF and the grip accessories to make it much more DSLR-like, so everybody gets what they want. I love the feel of this grip, plus the fact that it includes a second shutter release button, a second sub-command dial, and even a third programmable function button. I'd just like to leave it installed all the time, except you do have to take it off to change the battery. I love this EVF too, and that would be a permanent fixture on my Nikon 1 V3 because LCDs just don't perform well in bright sunshine. Now, this EVF is great with 2.359 million dots of resolution, and the view is big and bright, and it automatically comes on when you hold it up to your eye. The LCD is improved over previous models as well. First of all, it's a tilting touchscreen, and it tilts up and down, so it works for high and low shooting angles. It's a 3-inch screen with more than 1 million dots of resolution, and I like how the 4 buttons to the left of the LCD are part of the tilting panel for easier access. The Nikon 1 V cameras are known for having dials and buttons that give users quick, easy access to controls, like what DSLR users are used to, and the touchscreen adds even more quick control and image review access. Another big improvement in my view is the new 10 to 30 millimeter f3.5 to 5.6 VR lens that ships as a part of this kit. Now keep in mind, the CX sensor has a 2.7x crop factor, so the 10 to 30 is a 35 millimeter equivalent to having a 27 to 81 millimeter lens. a very nice all-purpose zoom range. While there was already a Nikon 1 series lens with these specs, this one doesn't need a lens cap, and there's no lock button on the lens. So now, when you flip your camera on, it's on. There's no need to unlock and twist the lens before you can operate all the controls and start grabbing shots. Additionally, this new lens has power drive zoom for silent electronic zooming control, as well as vibration reduction image stabilization. The pop-up flash is an improvement too, and it's one of those bendy flashes that lets you manually pull it back and bounce light off the ceiling if you want. Of course, you can add one of the optional proprietary Nikon flashes if you like, but you would need to remove that EVF, and I'd rather just leave that in place. This is one of the first Nikon 1 series cameras to include built-in Wi-Fi, so that means with a compatible Android or iOS smart device, you can download the free Nikon app and control your camera shutter or send images remotely. The good news is that the Wi-Fi is especially easy to set up and use, and the downside is that the functionality and the controls are bare bones. For remote shooting, you just get a remote view and a shutter control. No other adjustments. The ISO range goes from 160 to 12,800, but those are just numbers, and they'll mean something different to you depending on what you're used to shooting. If you're used to shooting point and shoots, the image noise will probably be an improvement. If you're used to shooting a modern DSLR, either an APS-C sensor or a full frame, you'll get more noise than you're used to, especially more color noise than you're probably used to at any given ISO. Overall, image sharpness and detail is quite good, but compared to current DSLRs, there's less shadow detail, and color accuracy seems a little less accurate to me in dark areas of my images. Skin tones are good and true though, and video image quality seems better than many cameras with similar specs. You can shoot video from any mode dial position using the dedicated movie button. By default, that third function button on the optional grip is set to record movies as well. But the advanced movie mode position on the mode dial lets you pick your filming mode so that you can adjust shutter speed and aperture while filming. Or you can record movies in slow motion or fast motion. There's a nice onboard stereo mic, and it's sensitive enough to pick up handling noise during filming, so most advanced videographers will appreciate that there's a mic jack for external audio sources. One more great feature is that you can snap full resolution stills while you're filming, and there's no evidence in the video like dropped frames or noise or anything. That's really impressive. Another nice feature is electronic vibration reduction while filming, so your movies can be smoother while you move around during shooting, and it works at up to 1080p 30 capture rates. For the record though, this Nikon 1 V3 can capture 1080p 60 HD video as well, just not with that EVR feature turned on. Novices will appreciate the automated settings and controls that make the images look better without worrying about adjusting settings on the fly. There's an auto mode where the camera picks the settings for stills and movies. There's a best moment capture mode that grabs a burst of images and lets you pick your favorites, or it can pick them automatically. There's a motion snapshot mode for creative multimedia image capture, and there's a creative mode that gives you access to filters and special effects. Now, I really like the creative palette because it gives you live LCD feedback as you smoothly scroll through options for your special effects. Pros and enthusiasts will appreciate the speed and ergonomics, which I already mentioned, but they'll also like the programmability of the 3 function buttons, all the settings and controls in the menus, and the fact that the mode dial offers programmed auto, shutter and aperture priority, and full manual mode. And while there are currently 10 lens models available for the Nikon 1 mount, for Nikon DSLR shooters with a collection of good glass, there's an FT1 lens mount adapter that'll allow more than 60 Nikon lenses to work with the 1 series. So from everything I could see while I was using the Nikon 1 V3, all of the changes from the previous Nikon 1 series cameras are an improvement with the V3, and most changes are a big improvement. The only possible exception to this is the change from the standard SD card slot to the micro SD form factor. It's not really a big deal at all, but you will need fingernails or tweezers to get the memory cards out of the camera. and you can forget trying to swap memory cards if you're wearing winter gloves. With the speedy new Nikon 1 V3 camera kit for B&H and Kelby 1, I'm Larry Becker. Thanks for watching.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.
Scott Kelby here, and welcome to this quick tour of our online training. We have hundreds of online classes for you, covering everything from lighting to landscape photography. From portrait photography to sports, we have classes on wedding, automotive photography, shooting, food, fashion, travel, you name it. The most incredible part of this is the price. You get all of this for just $199 a year, or you can pay monthly for just $24.95. 24-hour a day, 7-day a week access from anywhere in the world. I invite you to join with us today and start learning right now.